order, please. For all those who care to join me, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Betty, all board members are present, and Mary Beth, we expect her in about 30 minutes. So I'd like to read our board norms. Debate, commentary, and discussion are healthy and open. Listening and speaking are equally important, and both should be done with respect and consideration. Focus is on students and our schools, not politics. Assume best intentions in all discussions. And now we have the consent agenda, and I need a motion to add this personnel memorandum to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I need a motion to remove the personnel memorandum dated May 8th, 2024.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I just ask, what is that one regarding?
It's the resignations and
Okay.
appointments and transfers.
So this one replaced the other one?
No, we're just adding this one, and
Okay.
then we're going to pull this so we can discuss it after we pass the consent agenda.
Okay.
So I have a seconded motion to remove this personnel memorandum, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Okay, so as it exists now, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So now I need a motion to discuss this personnel memorandum dated May 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
So we remove this, we're gonna take one name out of the picture in that personnel memo that you received. And we're taking out on the very bottom, under B2, Sarah Vitagliano. And other than that, it stays as is.
May I have a motion to pass this memorandum with the deletion of Sarah Vitagliano?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to speak? Or anyone who would like to speak? Okay. We will move on to our student representatives' reports.
Rutland Middle School is taking 20 8th grade students to And Then They Came For Me, a play put on by Vermont Stage about the Holocaust. This is a great ending to the 8th grade unit on the Holocaust. We are opening up our German and Indian cultural exchanges to 8th graders. We are excited to include our students in these amazing experiences. Applications are available now. Students will have a field day on June 3rd. They will get to spend a few hours at White's Pool with a bunch of fun activities in our backfield. On June 4th, we start Yes Plan with some great class offerings including pottery, jewelry making, and healthy cooking. Spring has arrived at Allen Street campus, and our ongoing efforts are transforming the campus into a vibrant and accessible space. The pump track is now operational, providing an engaging outdoor activity for students to partake in and maintain an active lifestyle. Extensive greening initiatives have been undertaken to enhance the campus and its surroundings, creating a visually appealing and eco-friendly environment. Collaborative work with Rutland 350 and American Meadows is underway to establish a sizable pollinator garden around the upcoming outdoor learning classroom. Our students are actively engaged in campus planning and recently participated in a filming session with PEG TV and the news. Furthermore, the newly completed science lab is now being utilized by students, offering modern facilities for hands-on learning experiences and generating a positive atmosphere on campus. Allen Street campus remains dedicated to cultivating a dynamic and supportive environment. Our spring preparations are geared towards providing students with a thriving, engaging, and enjoyable campus experience. And then at Rutland High School, as the board will recall, we signed an exchange agreement with a school in India. Megan Marsh and Ron Eisenman brought that partnership to life when they took a group of middle and high school students to our partner school in Calcutta. While there, they visited ancient ruins, enjoyed home stays with their host families, and spent time in a wildlife preserve. The students from India are scheduled to visit with their host families here in the U.S. in October.
RIS has had many guests this past month. Coach Norman and 2 of his student athletes came to talk to our student body about integrity. The Rutland Rec came to speak with 6th graders about an exciting free opportunity for them for summer. We had our HS students from Justice for All come talk with our 6th grade about race. We had partnered with Stafford to have high school students reading weekly with our intermediate school students. This has been a rewarding experience for all. Last week we tried to show our staff how much we love them. They are loved during Teacher Appreciation Week. There were many smiling faces, and we all know every week should truly be Teacher Appreciation Week. Next week we will host Show Your Work Night on May 21st from 5 to 6, followed by a Title I informational meeting starting at 6. May 24th is sure to be a fun day for our students with field day and a barbecue planned. Lastly, since it is that time of year, we will be hosting our incoming 3rd grader families at an informational night on Tuesday, May 28th from 5:30 to 6:30. April was quite a musical month at Northeast, with many grade level and school-wide events happening, and we all appreciated having a week to rest. We enjoyed having our very own nurse as our guest speaker for our April Pause Assembly for the monthly character trait integrity. This month, students at Northeast are spending the month of May practicing and highlighting examples of what it means to be a positive leader. Students had lots of fun at Spartan Turf Day with Mr. Coopoli and the girls' varsity soccer team. Just before April vacation, our students and staff enjoyed a special Moose Junior concert. The performance was so much fun. Our 1st grade and kindergartners concerts were a smashing success, and it was wonderful to spend time with families during our PTC Contra Dance. Students and families enjoyed live music and learned how to do different types of partner and whole group dances. The RIS PTO sponsored Color Run at Northeast was a fantastic community event. Special thanks to the Northeast PTO for sponsoring a thoughtful Teacher Appreciation Week at Northeast. This year is winding down with several exciting events. Last weekend we had our Color Run. It was a wonderful event to see the Northwest, Northeast, and RIS communities come together. Our students at Northwest worked on the POG trait of cooperation. 2 kindergarten classes hosted our monthly assembly and shared information about cooperation. Our kindergarten students will also be having their music concert tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. They have been working all year for this performance. Thank you for Ms. Cole for having it all come together. Last week was Staff Appreciation Week. I would personally like to thank our staff for their continued dedication to the students at Northwest Primary. This month, please be sure to watch our latest edition of Learning Lounge for Rutland City Public Schools on PEG TV. This month we are highlighting our portrait of a graduate. The link will be found on the website and also on PEG TV site.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for our student reps? So moving on to the foundation report, Mr. Colin Fingen.
Thank you. Should I step up there? Hi, everyone. Some familiar faces, some unfamiliar. I'm Colin Fingen. So just a little bit of background on the Rutland City Public Schools Foundation. We're a separate 501c3 organization, kind of under the umbrella of Rutland City Public Schools. Previous CFO, Peter Amons, helped set this up in around 2015. At the time, we had various donors, classes, Class 57, Class of 59, some various alumni that had scholarship programs that Rutland City Public Schools was kind of the financial conduit to, where they'd have donations come into, and at the time there's just various bank accounts under the umbrella of Rutland City Public Schools. So Peter Amons and myself and a few other committee members created the 501c3 so it could be charitable for those donors. As well as kind of pooling the funds, we created an investment policy statement at the time and an investment policy committee so we could be a stewards and a fiduciary over the funds to help grow. We do not select any of the candidates. We don't have any involvement in actually distributing the scholarships. We just kind of have a steward and fiduciary over the funds. So part of our, I don't even know if that's the right terminology, charter is to report to this board once a year. So I'm coming here to just do kind of a verbal presentation, also hopefully a little PR for those folks out there that are looking to be charitable towards maybe their old high school, or we kind of do a presentation to the golden graduates every year in the class of 50. If you do want to get involved or donate or have a scholarship in your name or any way to kind of donate to the school, we're here for that. But I will follow up with a written report, an annual report, as far as where the scholarships went, who got them. Kind of pause there for questions or anything anyone would like to know. I talk fast, so I apologize. Yes, Karen.
Is all the money distributed each year, or is there a balance, a running balance?
So yeah, so at the time we set it up, there's various large bank accounts, so we can consolidate them into one large fund and then distributed them on the terms of the scholarship, which at the time could be different, $1,500 per student, and those particular scholarships have the kind of written directive they'd like. They hand those to the guidance department or the various school position they'd like to select those students, and we kind of just dole out the money according to how they wrote those. Currently, we have roughly $565,000 inside the fund. We distribute close to 4% annually. So last year, we distributed $21,650 to 18 different students. However, last year, as part of our analysis and our updating the foundation, it's to reach back out and do analysis on each scholarship inside the fund to say, hey, maybe you set this thing up 30 or 40 years ago at $1,000 and inflation and everything, and the fund's grown. So we're trying to look at each individual scholarship pooled fund and say, hey, we can report back to the groups to say maybe it's more appropriate to have a higher distribution level, which we have done. In the year 2022, we distributed $16,150, so we jumped that to $21,650. And again, we invest the funds, not just sitting in a bank account. So, with the growth, we should be able to help these scholarships last into perpetuity, as well as hopefully have inflationary adjustments. But we've had some tremendous class donors. We've had past employees in the tune of, I'll tell Peter Amons or Mary Moran have their own scholarships and have large donations. So we're trying to kind of create that alumni association and potentially down the line where classes and or individuals who are charitable can be looking to give back to Rutland High School, post Rutland High School students. Again, we can't cross over the public education format and spend money on public finance, but as of right now, all of our funds are housed for specific scholarships.
Great, thank you.
Aside from being a 501c3, this is a private foundation, 501c3?
Correct.
Okay.
Or C37, you're the accountant, not me. but-
I was just curious if it was a private foundation, classified as that.
Yeah.
Because there's different, rules for that, so I'm just curious where it fell in that.
Yeah.
But-
I defer to a fellow committee member, Matt Gaddy, who's more up to
Yeah.
speed on the legalities and tax code.
No problem, just curious.
But we'll cover that in the written report, yes.
Well, I'm just curious, and I don't know if this is an inappropriate question, and just tell me, just nix it. But I'm just curious, who manages the fund? And is there anyone who takes a salary from the fund?
So we've kind of created it under the premise of let's strip the fees down. So we run it as an investment policy committee driven from the investment policy statement we set up. There's no active managers, there's no paid employees, there's no paid management. It's run through a Vanguard account with 0 trades and 0 commissions. So we try to do it as streamlined as possible. And that's more of the investor presentation. If you're looking to donate or have a scholarship, the pooled funds approach we took was to strip down the fees and really have it about maximizing the donation dollars and scholarships and stripping out as many fees as we can. So it's run very, very tight on margins and nobody's getting paid. And we actually do appreciate the support we get out of the business office here, as well as Bill or future superintendents are on our committee per charter, as well as one designee from the business office and CFO. So no, we're not paying for help, but we certainly get the assistance of the business office. So we do appreciate that, as do the scholarships, donees and donors. But as far as money going out the door, it's just purely scholarships.
Are
And
you
there's some
required to
small
send out a certain percentage every year?
Hmm?
Are you required to send out a certain percentage of the fund, or no?
No,
It's your discretion?
our discretion, yeah. Not our discretion, again, directed by the scholarship discretion we have.
So someone might set up a scholarship, I want to put this much money into the fund, but I want to give $1,000 a year to a kid. You know, they structure it that way.
Yeah.
As Colin said, you know, maybe it might have been lower amounts previous years. We've asked them to up the.
We make suggestions on how much as far as what the fund could afford, but we don't set what it actually is, nor do we have any delegation authority in the scholarship process, which keeps us in a different form, from my understanding, in the tax code. As far as are we delegating scholarships opens up a whole new realm of that private foundation, where we're simply just the fiduciary.
Right, because some
of the
are
fund.
required to do a certain percentage, yeah, so that's not what
Correct.
you're doing.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
working with our accountants,
Gotcha,
that's the way we've operated.
gotcha.
And again, most of our scholarships flow through, or I think all of them, through the guidance office. So it's just them working off of the framework from the donors. And then, historically speaking, the school system pays out those scholarships and we reimburse the next day or two out of our fund. So that's the flow of funds.
And you can take donations of like stock versus cash?
Yes, we have. That was probably 4 or 5 years ago. We had a donor with some old Exxon stock, which is nice.
Yeah.
And there's actually another foundation that searched us out. So we're getting a little traction there. And we have a small pamphlet we distribute at the Golden Diploma. And again, we had some traction. With our first presentation was last year. Obviously, COVID prior to that mixed up us seeing people in person. So we've had some traction with the class of 73, and we plan to talk to the class of 74. And again, if you know people looking to donate, that's what we're here for.
That's what I was going to ask. If somebody is looking to donate, who should they contact?
They can contact me. Again, in the report, I'll share with you guys. I mean, starting with the school is always good too. Go to the business office, and they'll direct that to the right location.
I think we appreciate you doing that.
Yes, it's a lot of work.
Now, most of the credit can go to Peter Amons, who spearheaded it. He did all the footwork, IRS work to make sure it all happened. So we appreciate him. We still lean on him a little bit in his retirement years, but certainly the business office and Bill and all what you guys do and producing these great students. We're hoping just to help them at the next stage of life. They get a great education all the way up through in Rutland City Public
I
Schools.
know every bit helps.
And we hope
when
that
you're
they get
going
that.
to college.
We hope that goes on.
Yeah, I would just add, there's a significant amount of time and expertise that Colin puts into it. Matt Getty, you mentioned, and the rest of the people on that board. So we appreciate
Exactly.
They're meeting, what do we meet, every 2 months or so? So there's time that's put into it then, and then Colin's doing some, behind the scenes work. There's been some legal work that we've done, so we appreciate what they've done.
Thank you.
It's great.
I'd love to stay and hang out, but I have to go to another board meeting and try to pass a budget. So thank you guys for your time. Again, I'll have a written report.
Thank you.
And hopefully see you again at some point in the next year. But call, anyone you can call, email questions. People out there looking to donate money, you know where to find us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank
you.
So much. Okay. Our Peer Point report. Q.
So good evening, everybody. I'm excited and proud to provide the introduction for the presentation tonight focused on Peer Point Personalized Learning Center, also known as PPLC. So about 5 years ago, recognizing the growing need of our young children in the areas of behavior regulation and social emotional development, the district intensified our exploration of how we could best meet our students' needs. At the time, our Allen Street campus was meeting the needs of our older students, but there was a gap for our younger children. So the size of the building and its close proximity to Northwest made our building on Pierpoint Avenue a great spot to develop a highly individualized program that deeply embeds interpersonal skills, social emotional development, and behavior regulation into academics. And so children have the opportunity to learn and grow, both with traditional learning environments and activities, as well as experiential learning. So I'm going to introduce Jess Henderson. Jess serves as our coordinator of support services for our very youngest learners, all the way from birth to second grade on the northwest side of town. And she has skillfully led the PPLC program since it began.
Thanks, Pam. Good evening. Thanks for having me. So PPLC is a phenomenal program. It serves our students in kindergarten through grade 4, although we really try hard to not have kindergartners join us over at PPLC. We try to have them be in their home building at Northeast or Northwest and try the services that we have over there before looking at a transition over to Pierpoint. Pierpoint serves our students who are otherwise not having great success in the traditional classroom setting in their home schools. We focus greatly on social emotional learning. We work very closely with families. We work closely with those families in helping them connect with community resources. We're trauma-informed, and we implement trauma-informed practices. First and foremost, building relationships. It's really all about that. Building trust, modeling and teaching empathy, and creating safe and supportive environments for a safe and supportive environment for our students to reflect and grow. You can see our amazing staff there in the picture. We have a special educator, we have a classroom teacher, we have 2 amazing counselors, and 3 amazing paraeducators at Pierpoint. And really, that staff there is amazing. They make my job much easier. They are just an amazing force supporting students every day. I couldn't do my job without this great group of staff right there. Take a look at our schedule. If you look at our schedule, it looks very much like what you would see in a typical traditional classroom, in any K-6 classroom or K-4 classroom across our district. Our students arrive, they have breakfast, and they check in. Our staff checks in with the students. Some of our students might come in, grab their breakfast, sit down at the table. They might interact with a peer. They might play a morning game, do a morning activity. And another student might need a little bit more of a check-in. They might need to go into another space with a staff member. They might have had a challenging morning. Maybe the bus ride wasn't so great. They might need a little bit more support, and our staff is there to support them with that. They roll into specials. Specials are our art, music, PE, library time, social skills. Just like any other student across our district, we share the staff with the Northwest staff. They go across the street and they might have PE time with Mr. Coopoli, or our art and music time might come across the street, or they go across the street for library, or library comes across the street for us. It's very flexible and fluid. POP stands for Pierpoint Outdoor Program. I'll talk a little bit more on the next couple of slides about that. And you see how our schedule just kind of moves through. We have a choice time, and choice time for our students is a great opportunity, again, for social emotional learning. Our students are provided a time for self-esteem building, for confidence building, empowerment, for them to make a healthy choice. Maybe they're deciding to go out for a hike on the trails right behind the school. Maybe they're taking the bikes out and they're working on bike riding. Today we had one of our second graders learn to ride a bike for the first time, a 2-wheeler. He's been trying to ride a bike for 2 years, and he's been on the balance bike, he's been on the scooter board, he's been on the Strider bike, and today he just picked up the 2-wheeler on his own and decided, this is my day. And we were like, how's this going to work out? And he just started pedaling, and we're like, holy cow. Awesome. He was so excited, and just to see him beaming, but to see the other kids like cheering him on was so exciting and so empowering. And he said, take a picture, send this to my mom. And he was so excited. So those are the moments that, you just see that the excitement in the kids. So, that's something that happens during our choice time. The academic time, we'll talk about that when we get to the next slide, but providing that predictability and the structure with routines and expectations is how we build in the academic and social skills throughout our day. Kind of move on with our next slide. So when you look at the academic rotations and our project-based learning, and we have intervention blocks, it's small groups, it's individualized learning, it's time where they might be working on specialized instruction, it's time that our general educator may be working on grade level material, and maybe it's in a small group, maybe it's in a one-to-one setting, and it's really geared toward where our students are at in their learning. When we do project-based learning, there's STEM connections, it's social-emotional themes, there's math, there's science, there's writing. They love, some of the books that they read. They do read-alouds and they make connections. There's themes of kindness, perseverance, loyalty, adaptability, teamwork, friendship, overcoming obstacles. All these social-emotional themes intertwine throughout the curriculum, throughout the day with what they're working on. And then when in our intervention times, it's working on a skill boost, or it's working on their counseling time, or social skills groups, or relationship building. We have this fantastic new kitchen at PPLC where the kids love to cook. And we have staff that love to get in there and cook with the kids. They love to get in there. So that's a really great time. It just might be an afternoon that, one of the kids wants to go in and they might make some cookies for everybody. And it's just a time that they just love to get in there and do those kinds of things. So the Pure Point Outdoor Program is just a fantastic opportunity for the kids to get off campus, learning all of these great Portrait of a Graduate traits, our Star Student traits, making these connections. They're learning to make healthy choices. They're learning to trust one another, to trust themselves, to take healthy risks. It's self-esteem building, relationship building. Again, they're getting out into the community to go places that they otherwise wouldn't have opportunities to go and see and do. And my next slide just kind of shows some of the great places that these kids are getting to go. Some of their favorite spots. They love going to the Chittenden Reservoir. One of their new favorite places is to go over to Mount Zion. If you haven't had a chance to explore over there, it's a phenomenal spot. They love a couple of our kids love to go up to the high school track and walk the track. They just love to get out and do things and being able to make those healthy choices and move their bodies. They get out, of course, behind the school, behind Pure Point, we have Georgetti Park. So, and the trails, they can walk through the trails and get over to to the rink, and they can get up to Rocky Pond and to the Overlook. So it's fantastic to be able to get out and do all of those activities. Trying snowshoeing, they've cross country skied, they get out on the bikes. It's fantastic. And then part of the time during the week, they get into our sensory room and they do yoga during the day. And one of our paraeducators, Miss Jody, is a yogi. I think that's what you call her, a yogi. She teaches them yoga, and yoga has so many amazing benefits for our students. It develops self-regulation strategies, it helps center their minds, it helps them focus. They learn deep breathing strategies, they learn mindfulness strategies. All of these things help build just these great skills. As you can see, they're kind of listed there as well. And the kids really enjoy going in there. And that's a skill that's a real challenge for any of us to be able to do these things. And they're learning how to do these skills and self-reflect.
What time's that at?
You're welcome. We'd love to have you come join any time of the day. Please come join us. So, how do we connect to the strategic plan? In looking at teaching and learning and wellness, at PPLC, we support our students through the personalized learning opportunities, academically and socially. We build on those skills while embedding the Portrait of a Graduate traits at a level relevant to our students' learning. And then when you think about wellness, we provide opportunities for our students to gain confidence in making healthy choices as they learn and reflect in their own physical, social, and emotional well-being. Again, at a level that our students are able to do those things. I have a little video here to share with you.
All right, everybody, let's go. Video. On your playground because we get to play four squares, and we like on your driveway because we get to ride bikes and kick the ball, and so that's why we like it at PBRC. To do fun stuff like learning about plants and animals, and we get to learn about different kind of trees, and we get to also learn about what kind of animals help the environment in general.
Last 4 years, we've supported 23 students at Pure Point. Some have transitioned to Allen Street campus, others have transitioned back to RIS, and some of those students are still with us at Pure Point. And I feel like we're just so fortunate to have the opportunity to have programming like PPLC, Allen Street campus, the multi-age classrooms, the pod classrooms in our district to provide opportunities for our kids for social emotional growth and development in a learning environment that meets the needs of our students. You know, I just feel like when a student is getting what they need, they start to shine. And we see that across our district in so many different places. And I thank you, the board, for supporting the programs so that our students can get what they need. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Kathy,
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for all that you do.
Questions or comments?
I just have a question. So I wanted to thank you. I think this is an outstanding program. It's very impressive. And I'm going to come and join you one day. How many students do you typically have, and is there a limit on how many students you can take?
Well, we typically, we've had anywhere from 14 students. Currently, we have 8 students. We've had up to 14. Did I say 14?
Mm-hmm.
I guess we don't have necessarily a cap, but
A lot of it depends.
it depends on the needs of the students.
Okay.
So then really that's what we look at.
So once the kids are back to school, if a child is having issues, then they could be referred to Pierpoint? Or how does that, or is it already decided?
You mean like how does a child?
Enroll they
Transition, oh, you mean at Pierpoint?
Yes.
So when a child is, so we track students' behaviors. If they have goals, and we're looking at their needs. And so, like currently, we've had students that have transitioned or are transitioning back to, a general ed
Right.
classroom, back to like maybe the intermediate school or to another classroom setting. And so we're looking at what their needs are and where do we best fit their needs.
So the same is true, I think she's asking about like
Yeah.
when a student's at a traditional building, how do they
Right.
get to
Oh,
Pierpoint?
sorry. I'm sorry.
So the opposite.
No.
So, basically, when a student starts to exhibit behaviors that demonstrate that they need a higher level of care or need additional, different types of instruction, et cetera, it's a team decision on how that happens. It's including the parents and the teachers, the special educators, the administrators, and it's a team decision. And then when they start to show that they don't need the supports and services of Pierpoint, again, it's a team decision back.
I bet some of them hate to leave.
And, yeah, just like Allen Street. And sometimes it is definitely like a slow transition, depending. Other times it's just a little bit of, it's so individualized.
No, I think that's great.
That's awesome.
Just curious, this is such an amazing program. I was so lucky to be asked to join for the chili cook-off, which was so fun.
We'll have another chili cook-off in the fall.
That was awesome to see, and all the kids clearly enjoyed it, from the food to the forest to everything. But watching the video and all of the awesome trips that you guys take, my wheels were just spinning as far as transportation. Do you guys have constant access to the vans, or do you have to plan ahead? Like, are you able to transport to?
So we do have a van
Okay.
that we share it between Northwest and Pierpoint. So if Northwest needs it, they can use it. We use it. If we are going as a big group, we may ask to use a van from Northeast or from the intermediate school, or we may ask to use a bigger bus if we're going to go, if we need a bigger mode of transportation where we need more space. Yeah, but generally when we go out in small groups, so we are able to use the van in smaller groups.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you
That
very
was
much.
great.
I'm gonna go there.
Mr. Scott with our summer building and ground work plans.
Jokes.
And transportation.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight on our summer work plan. This is always my most stressful presentation. Obviously, want to perform well. I didn't have any jokes, so I'm just going to go ahead.
Oh, man.
We do got a lot of fun stuff in the summer work plan, so we'll just go ahead and jump in. The full presentation is going to deal with our building projects. Those are always the the biggest, most work-intensive things that you've all approved in the last 4 months or with ESSER. But prior to that and throughout the summer, we do 4 other things. So summer transportation is one of the big things we do, working with Tapestry to do their trips. There's tutoring buses. There's still a lot of routes that are done throughout the week, starting around end of June. So from June on, we'll be doing busing. It's not the entire day, but there are a lot of trips that come in and daily routes. And then general maintenance and painting gets done. So general maintenance, everything from fixing windows to just repairs that we haven't been able to do because they're in classrooms, including preventative maintenance and inspection. So we do a lot of, the bleachers need to be inspected, our stages need to be inspected, our boilers need to be cleaned. So a lot of these things that we do either in-house or contract to have done. I don't know if you know that, but like every year it's a requirement that we have to have the bleachers inside and outside inspected for safety, and that's done, and we'll provide a report. And then if there's a loose nut or bolt or loose wheel, then we get that fixed within the next, before school starts. And then lawn and grounds care, our bus drivers and maintenance staff, primarily our bus drivers do all the lawn care, and our bus aides do a lot of grounds care and landscaping to keep the fronts looking good, pulling out weeds, adding mulch, all of those things. And then detail cleaning and floor care, our custodians inside the buildings work collaboratively, so our night shift custodians come to days. They work as a team and basically go top to bottom, top floor to bottom floor, because they're rushing to get off the top floor because it's so hot in the summertime. So they'll start at the top and work every classroom, every office, down to the bottom. And that includes wiping everything down, getting gum off the bottom of desks, waxing the floors, so the whole 9 yards in preparation for school. So it's just one big yearly cycle, but they do an amazing job. And then finally, our building projects, which I'll jump into here. So I've got 10 items that I'll cover. I've color-coded this, so what's in red are ESSER items. So district-wide wayfinding, which, and then the TwoWay radios, which was just approved, outdoor classrooms. I won't go through the list, let's just jump right into it. So wayfinding signs, this was approved last month. This is one of the needs that we identified as a ESSER team, our construction team, our recovery team decided that this was a good use of money, and thank you for your support on this. We'll basically are going to work in 3 phases to get all the signage, wayfinding updated across the district, and present our wayfinding as a comprehensive standardized package. So we're working with green screen graphics. Design work is underway. We're working on phase 1 now, which is intermediate school, middle school, Longfellow and Pierpoint. Intermediate school, middle school, basically because they have the most challenging ways to get into the office and navigate throughout the building. Longfellow and Pierpoint because they don't have any signs. You can look around here and you don't really see any signs. Not that you always need it, but some of it's outdated. And it's good initially, and I should back up because the priority here that we identified was from a safety standpoint. We talked a lot about when we worked with Rob Evans from the Vermont State. He was our consultant that talked about security. And so we have first responders that come into the building, and you need to get to 201 in a hurry or somewhere in the building. We don't have a really good signage program, and some doors aren't even labeled. So we really looked at that from that perspective. And from an ADA perspective, we don't have good ADA Braille signage, so all that will be addressed top to bottom. When we're really going to have, this is just a sample, but we're going to work on having a color-coded option to work by floor, so identify by floor which floor you're on. But again, that we'll start and we'll work our way through this through the summer. We contracted with Green Screen to produce the signs, but we're gonna hang the signs internally with maintenance, and we hope to have that done by the end of. I don't think this will be done by the end of summer, but I think we'll be done by the ESSER completion requirement date. TwoWay radios, which thank you was approved tonight. Again, this was also an ESSER funded project that we're working on from an emergency standpoint and better communication. So it was identified that if we had an emergency response and needed to communicate between buildings, this would be an upgrade to our current system. And right now, every school is going out and buying different sets of radios. They're on different frequencies. So this will be standardized, the radio bands. We'll be able to have all call. If there's an emergency, you can communicate to all schools. If we need to meet and do a relocation, so we'll have these standardized radios. The main amount money that's being spent on this is basically because we have to install a repeater in 9 different areas, and that'll sort of centralize the communication. It also provides the FCC licensing and programming of 300 radios. Again, we'll work on this throughout the summer. Central Vermont Radio will basically install the repeaters. We hope to have this completed by the end of the summer, but for sure by the end of the ESSER spending date.
Sorry, just a quick question. These will actually have the frequency to reach between the schools, or you're talking about if there were an emergency? And
Right, and that's what the repeaters will do. So it'll be an IP connection, but it'll also boost a signal so that if I'm pressing the radio, it's going to kind of bounce between here, and it might pick up like if I'm at Northwest, for example, it's going to hit a repeater at intermediate middle school, maybe maintenance, and then if it's going to Allen Street, it'll pick up those repeaters as a.
so it only goes as far as the repeaters, or it will go like X
Oh,
amount
no,
of
it'll
miles?
go, it may not go over the mountain, but it'll keep us within it,
Oh,
within our
incredible.
bus range, yeah.
Which is awesome.
And there are a lot of schools right now that don't have communication, so if you go to Allen Street maybe with a bus, or you have a radio, you may not always be able to communicate with the bus. So this will basically have all of our buses integrated as well.
Very smart. Yes.
So I'm excited, and I have to give credit to Forrest. I'm out with IT department. He's the expert in this. This is not an expert of my part. Abby and I work closely with Forrest to kind of give us a standardized program, and he knew everything we needed to know about this. So he's a credit to our team. Outdoor classrooms. So we see Northeast and Allen Street here. These are the new sidewalks that were just built. Everything's finished. We basically just have to do the site work, clean up the level of the dirt, plant some grass seed, and they basically take the fencing down. Pierpoint is at the same stage. In fact, we showed pictures, but they had a lot of great work done. And I was happy that the ceilings are high enough that we can play foursquare and cornhole under those. So that's a big design requirement. So those are about what we would call 95% completion. We did save, and we work with Russell to save middle school for last. So right now they're putting the stakes out, doing GPS locating for the edges, the barriers of the patio there, and then they'll start pulling away dirt, and they'll put some pavers out there, and we'll have a couple shades out there for shade. So you'll lose some bushes. We still we'll have to run some electricity, but right now if you drive by, you'll see all those pavers out there. That's going to be a really great addition to the back of the middle school, and a sidewalk that basically connects that back door to the patio as an ADA access. All right, intermediate school smart TVs. So again, an ESSER-funded project. We purchased 123 smart TVs, and James Corsell and Chuck Oney and Forrest and Ben and the IT team worked collaboratively again. And credit to the principals at every single school, because they worked with us to help us get into the classrooms throughout the year to get to this point. When we bought these, and the construction team will know that I was sort of sweating this one, because I'm thinking, how are we going to get 123 TVs installed in one summer? So the principals were fantastic to help us get into a room, whether it was 4 or 5 hours or a day, get this TV installed. So we're at this point, we only need 28 of 123 need to be installed at the intermediate school. The reason we waited until the end there is just because there's a lot of plaster, a lot of walls that we just don't know what's behind the walls, not sure what we can drill into. So those 28 are in the older section of the intermediate school, and we're going to start those as day one of the summer. I think it'll go fast, but we might create a little more dust than all the other classroom work. We think we'll have that completed by July 15th. Intermediate school is getting a new fire alarm. This has been really coming off of our facilities assessment. This was identified. This is a really old system that, as you can see on the picture on the right there, that's kind of cobbled together of 3 different systems. It's the old system. These are smoke detectors that are in the air ducts, and so these things have been added. And there are some times where there are false alarms or alarms that are tripped unnecessarily if the elevator doesn't, or if we have a power bump, like if the lights flicker in the neighborhood, sometimes this triggers a alarm and the elevator has to be reset. So there's just a lot of good. This is a good project to bang out this summer. The alarm and all the devices, so that's like the pool stations, the smoke detectors, those little flashy thingies. And then it'll also upgrade some code required items, so you'll get additional coverage throughout the building. We're hoping to have that completed by July 30th. That might go a little bit longer. We will be working around tapestry there. We will maintain building coverage, so we'll have classes in effect. They're basically going to build like a whole separate panel, run the wiring, and then like one day they'll be able to switch it over, so you won't lose any coverage, even though we'll have students in there throughout the summer. But it will be a little bit like we're going to be working around each other and tapestry program there. All right, middle school flooring. So this is not an ESSER project, but we just decided because we're making such good progress on updating our flooring, we're going to try to do 2 floors a year at the middle school. You can see a photo. We're starting on the upper floor. That's the old, it's a 9x9 tile with some asbestos mastic below there, so we'll have to abate that, scrub the floor, or grind the floor down to the concrete, and then we'll put the new flooring in. But that'll be done much like we did with the ESSER last year, but not as aggressive a schedule. We'll try to do 2 this year and maybe a couple more next year. That'll take about a week and a half. We're going to try to get an early jump on that, thanks to Megan and Rob. We're going to try to get in there a little bit early, get packed, because they're going to then jump over to Stafford and do the first floor, and like the main corridor and the center corridors also needs to be abated. So the same company, Catamount, is going to basically go in and grind the floor down to the concrete, remove that asbestos flooring, put down new flooring behind there. This is going to be a little bit more challenging because we have to basically work a tight schedule to get done before daycare comes back in the daycare program at Stafford. So we're hoping to have that done by whatever the date is. I don't think Melissa's back there, but Kate is. There's a date that we have to get done by, but we're going to get that done with an early jump at Stafford. Stafford Technical Center as well. There's 3 ceilings. If you've been through Stafford, you kind of know that most of the building has these newer ceiling tiles, but there are still 9 areas that have a really older, like it's original 1974 ceiling tile that is not standard size, so you can't just put like industry standard 2x4 tile in there. So that means the whole ceiling has to come down. You have to rewire the lights. Everything has to be out of there. So this is going to be a collaborative project. Our electricians and maintenance team will go in, we'll demo the ceiling and the grid, tie back the lights, and then Colludi Construction is going to come in. They'll hang the lights, or I'm sorry, they'll hang the grid and ceiling tile. We hope to have that done probably 4 to 6 weeks. We can get those rooms done. It's a really intensive project though, because anytime you're taking down ceiling, there's a lot of things up there that you really just want to be careful. Make sure everything is capped off and all the electric is not is covered while you change that out to the new lights. All right, high school in Stafford, the stormwater project. So this has been another item we've talked about in building committee. This was basically the 3-acre initiative that came through the state, mandate that any properties with more than 3 acres of impermeable surface, we had to redirect and filter the water coming off the roofs and parking lots. So we worked with Green Print Partners. This was the contracted service that the state of Vermont provided to us. So we went through phase 1, which was the study and engineering, and now we're in phase 2, which is the construction. Otter Creek Engineering worked on the engineering plan. We basically went through a couple iterations. The state approved the plan on how we're going to filter that water. And this is just one area on the left. This is along Woodstock Avenue. The big fenced-in area with all the overgrown green trees is going to be taken down. The fence will be taken down, and then they'll rebuild that up and put some underground filtration systems in there. There's a secondary one that's behind the student parking lot, between the student parking lot and forestry building. The same sort of system, but not, they had a little bit more land to work with, so it's basically going to be a sand and gravel natural filtration system that they'll build up. But I added the map on the right just so you can kind of see what we're talking about in terms of when we have these properties collectively. The state of Vermont just decided that, we're in the Lake Champlain drainage area, so everything from more than 3 acres, water comes down, rain comes down, you pick up a little bit of oil along the way, sediment, chemicals, and all is going to go into Lake Champlain or Hudson River or Connecticut River. So it's just an interesting map if you think about we're green, mountain state. So we really want to treat our waterways good, and we're ahead of the curve as a state in many regards. So that project, sorry, I want to back up on that. So Otter Creek Engineering did the design. Now Green Print Partners, we've signed the contract to them. They're going to be the project manager. They're now working on Act 250. I think they're almost finished with that, if not finished it. And then they're going to be putting some bids out on the street for local vendors, construction vendors, civil site work vendors to go in and execute the design plan that Otter Creek's designed on both of those. I think we're a little late in the year. I'm a little worried that, they might not get a vendor, but they seem more confident than I am that we'll get a vendor in here to get the work done. I've talked to them about our schedule. So that's going to be a little bit tight schedule, but it's a pretty clear-cut plan. If they can stay within the schedule, we'll get a lot, they'll be able to get that done. All right, and then a high school alumni field. So the turf field replacement, that is planning to start June 17th. There's going to be 4 to 5 weeks of construction. They'll come in. They have a team of people that basically travel across the country replacing these, but they have a couple other in northern Vermont they're going to do. So we made a point, and I just told them, we were the first, so get us on the schedule first. So June 17th is what we're planning. The track and all the field will be closed to the public. So we're going to have a lot of equipment in there. They're going to be pulling up the turf, recapturing the rubber, recycling all the material. There's going to be a lot of machinery there. We just want, for the safety's purposes, we just want to make sure we're keeping everybody safe there.
Can we just make sure that the public is aware that the track is closed?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what venues we can use to
Yep. I ordered
make
some signs, and we're picking them up tomorrow. We're going to post those in the next
if we
few
could get
weeks.
the paper to put it in there. And
Yeah, so the signs will be at the Gleason parking lot at the entryway, and then all the entryways there. We figured we'd catch them early. I know we have the public regular walkers.
right.
So
I think people would just get frustrated if they drive there and only to find that it's closed. So if
Yeah.
we could head them off at the pass.
great point. Thank you. All right, any other questions on that?
I have a question about the turf. So you just said that all the materials will be recycled from
Right.
the turf. I was actually asked that, like what happens to the old turf? So completely, all of it.
They have they're pretty progressive in terms of their whole process. They recapture the rubber, all the pieces recycled. They're basically, I forget, we talked a little bit about this, they're already zero PFAS in their product that they're bringing on. So they're really environmentally conscious and forward on much of that, but all that material does get recycled. All right, and then last area to talk about is our HVAC project. So this is the culmination of really 30 months worth of work that we're going to finalize this summer. Phase 3, ESSER funded of our HVAC project. Temperature Controls of Vermont, JCI, will replace older legacy controllers. So basically this is like replacing an old computer that controls the building controls. So when this project first came on, I think it was 2007, we had our first phase of controllers that were installed, and they were measuring temperatures and running air handlers. Well, those have kind of become obsolete, and we're noticing some problems there. So this is a great use of funding because it basically upgrades our ability to monitor and continue to maintain the fresh air, the controls to the building. We see some issues now in the middle school where the computers basically shutting on and off. So a lot of these controllers are needed. And so they're basically replacing all the legacy controllers and adding some CO2 monitoring. And what that does basically is, you have the air temperature of a room and the HVAC will kick on, But if you have a large group, it also measures the CO2 levels in the room. Even though temperature's fine, it realizes, okay, we need to kick on the HVAC. So that gives you ability to introduce fresh air. And again, that's the whole point of our ESSER money, is to address those things for safety and prevent future pandemics and fresher air in our buildings. And then in addition to this, we are adding new building controls to the Stafford Forestry building, which is actually complete. And then we'll add building controls to the Pierpoint Learning Center.
Can I ask a question? I know that there are some rooms in the high school that are frigid in the winter. Would this address something like that?
Yeah, there's and so there's probably those two rooms that are dark blue.
Does it involve the cafeteria? Or
Yeah,
the
well,
guidance
okay,
counselor's
yeah, actually,
office?
let me jump ahead to that then.
We talked about that.
Justine, because that is the air handler that serves the cafeteria, and that also has been on our list of our long time needing replacement. It's about, on a 20-degree day, it's probably 42 degrees in the cafeteria, if we're lucky. When it's 0, it's like 40 degrees, so it gets really cold in there. This unit's going to be replaced. That's part of 3A work, but it will address a lot of those heating issues, particularly the high school cafeteria. In addition to the high school cafeteria, the middle school cafeteria, its heating loop lags behind, so we're going to have some work done on that to address the heat flow. That has the right equipment, it's just not getting enough hot water flow to the building, so that's going to be more of a maintenance repair rather than a replacement repair.
Thank you.
Yeah. In addition, let's see, the high school library, there's some AC that's in place that we've been having problems with, so we have a contractor looking at that. PPLC air handler. That air handler just needs some repairs, and it has the ability to add cooling already, so we're going to go back and add that. Again, you just heard from Pierpoint, so this is a great leeway, is that if we can add cooling at any time it's easily and cost effective, that'd be a great thing to introduce because it kind of helps regulate the temperature in the rooms. That's in place, but we're just putting it back. It was taken out but never repaired. And then there's some building automation repairs at intermediate school that we're going to work on in this phase as well. And this again is Temperature Controls of Vermont, working with Mountain Air, managed by Johnson Controls. And then my last slide, these are the replacement projects. So the photo you have there is a photo that we worked on over the winter where we replaced the air handling unit for the Stafford 210. We're going to have a few cranes working this summer to put air handlers on Allen Street. We're replacing both air handlers at Allen Street. One's in the basement, one's on the roof. Northwest, the library air handler, which is in a closet. It's kind of small. Intermediate school has a library air handler. Some air scrubbers in middle school in the ceramics area and in their maker space. High school air, we just mentioned this, the air cafeteria, the air handler there. And ceramics building, we're adding a couple air scrubbers there. That's for the, kind of address the silica dust that occurs for safety as well. And then Stafford, there's 3 original air handlers, 1974. They're replacing that are in the STEM area, auto body, and then in the maintenance building that served kind of the kitchen and dollhouse area on that end of the building. So that was a lot. Thanks for letting me run through that. Does anyone have any questions?
Nope. Incredible. A lot of work.
Thanks.
Yeah. A lot of work.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You tell a joke for it.
Just a little
You
joke.
joke?
Just a little joke.
So what did the fan say to the air handler? Get it together, man. You're blowing it.
Well done.
It's all about the presentation of it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a building joke. It's like,
It doesn't
not
get
about-
much better.
bears or anything. It's the bear jokes are good too.
So
We should start every meeting with
next
that
we
joke.
have an update on our annual audit report. Maybe? Any takers?
What's the best time to clean your slinky?
When is the best time to clean your slinky?
Spring cleaning, of course.
Oh my.
Good way to start the financial section.
Right?
I like
Slinkies. Who doesn't love a slinky?
Gotta look this stuff up.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Smith. For those board members who have not had the pleasure to meet yet, I'm the accounting controller here for the school district, and I've been here just over a year. We have an invited guest this evening. Rick Brigham is the partner in charge from Sullivan and Powers, and he assisted the school district in completing the fiscal year 23 audit. I gave a short presentation to the finance committee last night, going over some of the results of the audit, and Rick is with us tonight. He's just gonna, maybe Rick, take 5 to 7 minutes to just touch on some of the higher level observations that you've made about our audit. You're live right now in front of the entire board, so thank you for joining us.
Just want to make sure, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for having me tonight. Yeah, I wanted to just kind of spend, like Tim said, maybe 5 to 10 minutes going through mostly the results of the audit. Obviously, if you're going through the audit report yourselves, it's 78 pages. There's a lot of information in there. But what I'm going to try to do is just go through quickly the results of it, especially since a lot of the numbers are older by now. So I just kind of want to start with if we're looking at pages 1 through 4, this whole audit report is really the responsibility of management, the finance team. Management is responsible for the fair presentation of the financial statements. Obviously, as your auditors, we help prepare this audit report, but my charge as your auditor is really just these 4 pages. It's called the auditor's opinion. So our job, after you guys go through and do all the posting of transactions, paying payroll, reconciling accounts, all that stuff that happens throughout the year, we come in and do our testing. We review the planning, go through website, go through the minutes, test invoices, test payroll orders, going through all the transactions and making sure all balance sheet accounts were reconciled. And so as part of that, my charge is to come up to an opinion. We have 3 choices when giving an audit opinion. You can have an adverse opinion, meaning the financial statements aren't fairly stated. You could have a qualified opinion, meaning the financial statements are fairly stated except for something. But the best opinion you can have is an unqualified audit opinion. And once again, the Rutland City Public Schools achieved an unqualified audit opinion. Now, I always like to congratulate my clients who get that unqualified opinion, because not all of them do. There's, a lot of things that can go wrong in a year, reconciling, transition, new staff. So, again, I know a lot went into this year. I know you guys have been going through some transition in staff over the past couple of years, and I know the timeliness of the report was really important to management, the board, as well as myself, and getting that filed on time as an unqualified report, I think was a really great objective, and everybody hit it out of the park. So one of the other things, as far as when we're going through our testing, one of the other required communications to board members is, as part of the process in our testing, if we come up with any sort of material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we found as a result of our testing, we have to communicate those to the board. We did find, if we're looking back at the pages 77, 78, there were 2 findings we had related to accounts payable and related to some accrued to payroll that, when we were looking at the reconciliations, had to have some adjustments for timing related to when invoices came in and booking them back to the year, or invoices that were booked into the year that you hadn't received the goods or services for. So those were things we talked about with Tim, Ted, the staff. I think they've got responses in here on how they're going to deal with those in the new year. So I would not expect to see these as repeat findings this year. So I felt really good about, again, just having those 2 material weaknesses in the size district that you are is very impressive. And I feel like even with those 2 weaknesses, we feel like we're on a path to getting those corrected as well. I know I've been working with Tim and Ted on some other things related to the audit, with just other discussions we've had related to creating new policies in accordance with uniform guidance, to making sure that the accounting manuals and the internal control manuals of the district are updated in accordance with the federal uniform guidance standards. So we've been sharing kind of some examples for them to kind of work on, and so you may see those in the next few months as they try to work on those while they're getting ready to close out fiscal year 24 and get ready for audit. So we've had those initial discussions, and we're going to keep those going right on through the audit process and hopefully get all those instituted as well. So again, overall, I thought the audit went very smooth. Obviously, it was a long process and a learning process for a lot of people, but I feel like heading into the 24 audit, both you and us will be hitting the ground running. We now have a couple years experience in auditing you guys, and you guys have the new staff are hitting the ground running now. So it feels like we're on board for another successful audit in 24.
Does anyone have any questions for Rick or myself that I could address? And again, I just want to thank Rick and your team for all the hard work that you put into helping us kind of get caught up with things and giving us some advice on best practice. And just quickly, I'll say too that a lot of you are aware that we are switching to a new accounting system effective July 1st. So there's a lot of work that's going into that in advance, especially from the accounting side. Rick, you've told me a few times, balance sheet, every asset, every liability really needs to tell a story, needs to tie back to a system report, a spreadsheet, a narrative. And Rick, I can tell you, I've already started really kind of going through all of our balances here as we wind up this year to make sure that adjustments are made in a timely fashion and that we preserve and maintain the integrity of our financial data as we switch from one accounting system to another. So we're on track with that. So
that sounds great.
All right, if there's no further questions. Rick, again, thank you for your time. Board, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Karen, do you need?
Yeah, I just had a comment. I just wanted to congratulate the entire finance office. You guys have done outstanding work getting older audits done, and now getting an unqualified audit is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think moving forward, you're going to be able to keep the pace with that. And we have had a lot of, new staff within finance in the last year, but you guys have just really seemed to pick it up quickly and are working as a really great team. So I would congratulate you and the team.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Sorry. Karen, thanks for saying that. I was just thinking about these presentations. There's been a lot of work that people have done
Yes.
through this year, and the board has led that. But I really thank that team, in particular, Rick from Sullivan Powers. They've done a tremendous amount of work to get us back up to the pace we should be at. So, we're coming to the end of the year. We're a month away from graduation. So I want to just think we just show appreciation for all the good work that people have done in the district through the year. So I was going to start by saying, last month we talked about our iBots robotics team that is, it's not a RCPS group, but we have a lot of folks who are part of that team in the district, led by Dan Roswell. And when we last spoke, we heard about them doing really well in the regional competition, well enough to go on to the world competition in Houston, Texas. And so for them to be able to do that, I think, as I understand it, there are 4,000 of these teams around the world. So they were one of 600 that got invited to join that competition. And I'm told that there were 50,000 people at that competition visiting Houston. 58 countries were represented. And so our team went through a series of competitions, and I think the way it works, if I understand it correctly, they form alliances with other teams. Sarah's shaking, you know how the process works. I don't exactly know it, but I guess we were allied with a team from the Netherlands and a team from Maryland. And as we went through the process, we survived 12 different rounds of, I think it was semifinal competition, and they got bumped out on the 13th round. And that was unbelievably far to make it. So our team, with their allies, made it to 4th place in the world, which just is astounding, incredible, a real accomplishment for this group. And of course, nobody from Vermont has gotten that far, so congratulations to them. And I just wanted to mention the names of the students, the RHS students who were on that team. Again, they were Margot Thompson, Emma Cosgrove, Finn Smathers, Bobby Giordano, Agatha Hopkins, Josh Pankratz, Lucas Lovett, and Caroline Giordano. That was really great work this year. Incredible.
So cool. So cool.
Brief hiring update. We're still in the hiring season, and there's a lot of flux as jobs open up. People consider, could I go for that job? So we are making progress. You saw the personnel report. We're filling some spaces. But building by building, we still have a math opening at RIS and a science opening, and now we're looking for a phys ed / health teacher at RHS. We're close to complete at RMS, I think. We've got one opening there that we're working on. RIS has 3 openings. Northeast is complete. Northwest is now looking for a counselor. Allen Street has a secretary opening. Stafford has 2 openings we're working on, and Tapestry has a secretary opening. And then for paraeducators, we have 11 openings for the start of the year, which sounds like a lot, but we're much better off than we were last year. So we're getting there. If you were able to look through the personnel memo and you saw the candidates that we brought into the district, we have some really high quality people coming into the district. We're excited about that. And I wanted to thank again the administrators and the teams that they have at their buildings. It takes a lot of work to sort through the applicants and make sure we get good quality people coming to serve our kids, especially at this busy time of year. So thank you to them for doing that. At RHS, Rutland High School, they are in a 10-year accreditation cycle, and our last accreditation, we got glowing remarks at RHS. So now, believe it or not, we're 5 years past that. So they went through the 5th year cycle or checkpoint progress report, and they got that letter back from our accreditation body, the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, and they made several commendations that I wanted to make note of. One of the things that they gave credit to the high school for was the good work that the high school did and all the other schools in the district on Portrait of a Graduate and the strategic planning process. And they particularly noted the involvement of the community in that process, the students, the staff, the community members, and the board. They complimented RHS on the continued improvement of their advisory program, as well as the work that the high school has done on social emotional learning. They gave credit to the work that's being done with teacher teams. We have teams of teachers that work on curriculum on a cycle, and they also analyze assessment data and look to make improvements for student outcomes. So that was a highlight that they noticed. And they also credited the high school for the work, the expansion of opportunities for kids, especially in work-based learning opportunities and early college and dual enrollment. So our next cycle starts, or our next check-in starts in 2027, which sounds far away, but it's really pretty close to it. There's no rest for the process. At Stafford, they have their annual Skills USA competition that goes on in the state, and we had a lot of kids at Stafford get gold, silver, and bronze medalists. And I'll send you the entire list through email. I wanted to note the gold medalists. These kids, when they get to the gold medal level, they are then invited to the national competition, and they're going to Atlanta, Georgia. So we have kids from all around the county that are involved in that, including RHS kids, and I'll list those names for you. For crime scene investigation, that was Lauren Palmer from Otter Valley, and then Kellen Beaudry and Riley LaFontaine from RHS. For engineering, technology, and design, they had 3 RHS kids. That was Emma Cosgrove, Yvonne Mokayev, and Tom Goldberg. Job interview was Sadie Lewis from RHS. Early childhood education was Caitlin Champine from RHS. That's Holden's sister. Facilitathon leadership and facilities management was Miles Donahue from MSJ. Action skills was Cheyenne Keys from Fairhaven. Extemporaneous speaking, Kaylee Selleck from Otter Valley. Additive manufacturing was Andrew Easter from Otter Valley and Bryson Gandon from RHS. And motorcycle service technology, Baker LaRock from OV, and first aid CPR was Sadie Lewis from RHS. So congrats to those students, and they'll be competing nationally now. I wanted to also let the board know that in other Stafford news that last week our new Secretary of Education, Zoe Saunders, visited Stafford, was able to meet with Melissa and get a tour of the building. She saw a number of the programs, and she really made it a point to speak with the students and get their perspective. It's really interesting to hear her questions and hear her perspective. She was great. So we hope she comes back and visits our other schools. Glad to have her. Recently, we received a couple letters regarding our athletic program, and I wanted to make note of those. I think I sent those to you for you to see, but I wanted to note them for the public. We had some letters that commended our athletes and just the program in general. So I wanted to thank our athletes and our athletic director and the coaches for these letters. We had a letter from a coach at Mount Mansfield High School and another from the AD at Stratton Mountain School. In both cases, they complimented the sportsmanship of our students and really just complimented, especially one of them, or both of them really, complimented the kids, and one kid in particular for just being kind and doing a good deed. So that's the kind of thing, I think sometimes you think sports is all about the wins and the losses and how are our teams doing. I don't remember any of those things from my days. Well, I do remember that when I played soccer, we were a horrible team, so we had a lot of losses. I'll blame myself for that. But I do remember, how people were to each other and how we responded on the field. And I think we have a good reputation as a school, as a school district, for good sportsmanship, and it showed from these unsolicited letters. I want to thank the adults and the students involved in that. And last quick reminder, we have graduation in less than a month now. Less than a month. It is on June 13th, a Thursday night at 6 p.m. And you are all invited. If you'd like to join us, march in with the faculty. Get to sit in some nice comfy seats. And so we'd love to have you there. And if you're planning on coming, just make sure you arrive fairly early. It's the traffic is kind of tough. So we're at Spartan Arena. So we're almost there, almost to the end. Thank you.
Just a question, Bill.
Sure.
On that, the outdoor graduation has just been done away with because of the weather issues, or why?
Yeah, we changed that.
I know it's been a number of
at
years.
At least 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. And really with the advent of the availability of Spartan, and it's easier for the maintenance folks to set up. They can get in there a couple of days ahead of time. We're not taking space away from our athletic rooms, and we never worry about the weather. So it's a nice setting, I think, and everybody's all there, and everybody can hear. It works out well, so we're glad that we can be there.
Thank you.
Brian Carney gave me 2 thumbs up there.
I know.
Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
2.
Wow.
Roger Ebert. Roger.
Okay, we're on to our committee reports. Sarah?
Okay, well, Glenn made my job super easy. So, we met on, last week on May 7th. Let's see, Glenn already talked about the two-way communication, which is great because he can just explain that better than me. We also talked about Raptor Visitor Management System, which is a new system where when visitors come into the different schools, there's a unit there where they scan their government ID and they get a badge, much like when you go visit the hospital or whatever. So it's just an extra step of security that they're implementing into the schools, and it's funded through the ESSER grant. And it's just we had a good conversation about how that made us all feel a lot safer. And then Glenn already talked about outdoor classrooms, and Rutland Middle School is doing PCP testing. The continuation of the testing is going to take place between May 14th and May 17th. And then there was discussion of what happens next if they find levels of PCB that, are above the action level. So that's in our thing somewhere. Sorry, my language isn't working tonight. We also talked about there's a pump station by Stafford that I wrote down in my notes that was installed in 1974, I think is what we thought. Mr. Scott described how this structure serves the outbuildings of Stafford. He explained that the system design is past its useful life, 1974. Failure would affect the use of the outbuildings. He informed the committee that the district will begin exploring the inspection, design, and replacement of the system in the near future. So he just kind of let us know that that's a thing that's on his list that he's looking at, because they're already maybe possibly having issues. So, and then he described the summer work plan, which he very aptly described to us. And then we had a motion to adjourn at 5:50, and that was our meeting.
Sarah,
Yes.
just to add to the system where visitors are going to be able to
Yes.
log in, that does, when they scan their card, it does run it through a security type thing, government thing, that if someone is not supposed to be around children or is not allowed in the school,
Yep.
it will get flagged,
Yep.
so they will not be admitted.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's really a great,
Yeah.
great system.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, any more questions for Sarah or Glenn? Mary Beth?
Thank you. We also met last Tuesday on the 7th. We discussed several topics, but our two main topics was, one, we had Tim Smith come in, the district controller, and provide an overview of the fiscal year 23 audit and the progress of the accounting system update, which we just learned a little bit about here. And we also talked about Ted gave us a legislative update, specifically as it relates to the yield bill and its implications for our fiscal year 26 budget. Anyway, so first was the audit and systems, the fiscal year 23 audit and systems update. Tim's presentation did familiarize the committee with the findings and outcomes that Mr. Rick Brigham just presented to us tonight. As we heard already, the fiscal year 23 report included an unqualified and clean opinion. It's a good thing, right?
Great thing.
Great thing, yeah. About the soundness of district accounting processes and controls. Tim did express his appreciation for the extra efforts of the auditors and the entire business office team, much like you did, Karen, and really getting ourselves up to speed and caught up on all of our audits now, and we're ready to go. Tim also described the excellent working relationship with Sullivan Powers in the past year, and certainly how beneficial that will be as the years progress, particularly as they came in and really punched out 3 audits?
Yeah.
3, right? 3 audits, like crazy. No, I think it was 3. 21, 22, 23, yeah, 3. We had some encouraging news about the progress of the changeover, like we talked about with the new accounting system, which will replace our aging financial system. It's about a $100,000 investment, which does include consultant time, new software, and licenses, and it's certainly to install the new system. Our old system has been used for over 15 years, which, as anybody knows, in software world, that is really, really old. So, yeah. This system's project implementation has added significant work to the business office, so we certainly want to thank everyone in that office for all that they've done and all that they're doing and all they'll continue to do in that changeover process, and really to get that new system moving and use it to its maximum capacity for sure. So and that was it from Tim. And then, like I said, we moved on. Ted gave the legislative update and some implications for fiscal year 26. As context for the discussion, Ted showed us a list of 21 school systems whose fiscal year 25 budgets have been rejected by their voters twice. Ted pointed out that a typical year's yield bill in the legislature is about 3 pages, and it focuses on the setting the official property yield and non-homestead tax rates, and sometimes adds a few minor policy changes. However, this year's bill is 40 pages long. It includes some major changes to education financing. As of our meeting last week, the bill is still being amended in the Senate Finance Committee. Governor Scott has threatened to veto the bill, but the legislators do think they have enough votes to override the veto. Depending on the final yield number that is legislated, the business office estimates that the Rutland City Public School homestead property tax rate could increase by 5 to 7% from the current rate of $1.58. However, the good news is that this is less than 1/2 of the average percent increase statewide, which is actually 15%. So we are in significantly better shape than the rest of the state, for sure. And for that, we are incredibly grateful. Our Rutland City Public School tax rate would have declined slightly next year if the city's common level of appraisal, the CLA, had remained unchanged from this year to next. Finally, the district does continue to negotiate with several labor unions, and as we do that, it'll be really important to find that reasonable balance between union requests and sound long-term fiscal management by the district. Especially since employee compensation does account for about 3/4 of our budget. Certainly need to keep our finger on the pulse of all of that. I know I said finally, but also I think, lastly, that was finally, now it's finally. I think this is it. I think maybe on behalf of the Finance Committee, I'd like to thank the district for certainly being excellent stewards of the taxpayer dollars. I think that we, the passing of our budget and our potential percent increase being significantly less than the rest of the state is a really good sign, and it really shows how well our money is stewarded, so thank you for that. And that's it. Thank you. Oh, we're meeting, see, I said there was one more. We're meeting on Tuesday, June 4th.
After our meeting.
After their meeting, always. We like to follow buildings, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Karen.
So the policy committee completed work on policy number 1350, which is the requirements related to school commissioner when the district's employment of an immediate family member of a commissioner is involved. You may recall a couple meetings ago we had that issue come up, and Attorney Mube was here and basically said that there were some problems with the language in that policy. So we did make some changes and then sent the policy over for Attorney Mube to review and comment on, and what is attached includes his comments, and so it has been reviewed by the attorney and approved as is. So we are putting that out. In addition, there was a duplicate, policy number 6190 was a duplicate of the old 1350. We deleted that. And we are continuing to work on the 6000 series. And our next meeting is May 21st at
It is an action item, so we need a motion to move policy 1350.
So moved. Sorry, I
First
cut you
reading.
off.
Yeah, no, what she thought I said, I actually was gonna say.
Reading minds.
Second. No, a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry, Kathy.
No,
I
that's
totally cut you
okay.
off.
You knew what I was gonna say.
I did know what you were gonna say.
Okay, do we have any unfinished business? No unfinished business. Any new business? No new business, okay. So we have an executive, okay. You go ahead, please.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of consideration of contractual matters, the premature release of information regarding those subjects which would place the board at a substantial disadvantage. Please include Rob Bliss, Ted Clementis, Bill Olson, Pam Reed, Bianca McKean, and Glenn Scott.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you.
You gotta second the motion.
second.
Oh, yeah, second.
Thank you.
Aye.
I know.
That
All those in
thing.
favor? Great.
Aye.